Our next speaker is Marion Rhodes. She is a development engineer at the Clarence Valley Council here in New South Wales.
Okay, I'm an engineer. I thought I'd wear this so you could identify me. I've got no PhD, I'm not a professor, I've only got a degree and do a bit of study on the side. Anyway, I'll get rid of the vest, I'm not on a construction site. I'll keep the hard hat because I think it looks attractive. I'm a civil engineer, I've been one since 1992 I think it was, so it's been a while. Why did I do engineering? Quite simply, I was good at maths and science and I wasn't very good at English. I am still hopeless at English. Don't ask my lecturers. I'm hopeless at essay writing. I struggle. I accidentally did engineering science, which is now very similar to your engineering studies. Absolutely loved it. Didn't mean to do it. Actually did home science. Told my mum I was going to go and leave school. I just hated it. Meant to do woodwork and did the engineering science. Topped 3 unit. Found that I absolutely loved being the only female in the class. It made me special. I was the only girl who did physics in the only Anglo-Saxon girl who did physics in the school. Didn't bother me at all. I learned a few foreign languages and learned to swear in a few of them. It was great. Now, what have I done in engineering? Okay, I did my degree. I was not very good at the construction subjects. I had a bit of an issue with what graders were in comparison to bulldozers. Failed construction 2 twice. You know, it wasn't too good. I promised my lecturers I would never go into construction. That's the only way they'd pass me. So when I got out of university, I went straight to a construction site. Sydney Airport. How many people how many of you have flown into Sydney Airport? Don't do it. No. So I worked on Sydney Airport, I'll take that off, as a construction engineer. Used to do night shift, day shift. It was great. You had to get on there. I'd start work at 4 in the afternoon, finish work at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was great. The adrenaline really pumped. Ended up taking out 3 federal police cars one morning. They were parked. Anyway, after that, I went overseas with my husband. We went to Belgium. He's an electrical engineer. He worked for a company called Alcatel. And we went to Belgium, all expenses paid by his company. Travelled Europe with 2 kids. Oh, I forgot to mention, while I was working in airport construction, the company went broke. I was 6 months pregnant. Not a very good time to have a baby, but I had one. They brought me back with another company, and I was contracting with them along the way. So I went off to Belgium, came back, felt like having another job. I had 2 kids, the youngest was 3. I was bored at home. Found a job in the paper on my birthday. Saw it was in airports, rang up my old boss and said, hey, tell me about this company. He said, oh yeah, we do a lot of construction work with them. Yeah, you've got the job, you'll have the job, no worries. Went to the interview, I had the job before the interview. And I was the only person in the company who understood, well, other than Barry, he was brilliant, that understood a construction site. I could go out there and I could say, those dowels are wrong. You know, because I knew the construction company, I knew all their tricks, and I picked them up on everything. It was great. Also got to work on some really lovely big terminals, and I'd work with architects and the mechanical engineers with baggage handling and the electrical engineers with their air conditioning and all that sort of stuff, and the number cruncher people, like who did, you know, the retail people and everything else, to make sure your experience in the airport was just brilliant. After that, I decided, what did I do after that? Oh, decided to build a couple of houses. And my husband and I, we'd bought a little dumpy house. You know how they talk about houses that are stuck together with a bit of paint and tar? Yeah, ours was literally stuck together that way. My son, when he was 2, put his fingers through the weatherboards. So I stuck a bit of paint on and it kept it together. Used a bit of tar and newspaper on the roof, kept it together. Anyway, demolished it, rebuilt as 2 houses. So I did all the subdivision work. Now, I'm a civil engineer. What does that mean? Well, I could design them beautifully to all the requirements of the council. I could do all the structural design in timber and steel and everything else. I could do all the civil design, no worries. And then I could do all the construction. The only problem was I've got a feminine voice. Don't tell anyone, but it's feminine. And I found that when I rung up places and tried to get prices, the price would double. So my husband and I worked it out really well. He rung up, he got the price. I did the quantities. He rung up, he got the prices. And everything else, I dealt with them on site. No one understood how he put up with me. After that, I felt like getting away from this. I wanted to work with other people. So I went into this thing called pressure sewer. Now, if any of you understand normal conventional gravity sewer, it goes downhill. In pressure sewer, we get to go uphill. Literally, we pump shit uphill. There's one other method, and I'll tell you this other method which I haven't worked in, but it's called vacuum sewer. Anyone guess what that does? Okay. Anyway, I worked on pressure sewer. It was a new technology in Australia, and it was really fun. The only people who'd done any work on it were in America, and I learnt quickly that Australian engineers are brilliant. And I researched, and we put systems in. I'd collect all the information and play on my computer at 2 o'clock in the morning because I happened to have another child during this, and only took 10 days leave to have a child. There's no reason why you have to go to stay home. My husband took paternity leave. Men, it's a good option. Take it. Anyway, so I went back to work, and 2 o'clock in the morning is the best time to have your visions of how air is moving through a pipe with shit behind it. Anyway, did that, and it was great. After a while, it wasn't so great because I was one of the owners in the business. It didn't work the way I wanted it. And so I moved on to the next stage of my life and decided to leave the city and go to the country and have a few cows. The cows don't pay very well, so went to the council and got a job. And I've been working ever since, looking after the community. As a civil engineer, we get to look at water, sewerage, stormwater, roads, everything you use on a daily basis. We get to make sure it works and it's efficient for you at the lowest cost. So that's what I've done, and that's what I've done with engineering. It's not that much, it's been a bit everywhere. Difficulties for engineering in women. Well, my first boss, great guy, Greek. First time I met him, he said, I should be at home having babies, I should not be at work. I told him, that's fine, that's your opinion. I've got this job, I'm here, you're stuck with me. And my boss with the airport design company, I was working with two other guys who had less experience than myself, and they were asked if they wanted to go to Melbourne for a week. I asked him, what about me? He said, you've got young kids at home, you need to be at home. I got all the information on equal opportunity and put it on his desk. We still got on very well by dealing with it in that way, and he understood that that's not the way to behave. I just explained to him that another woman might take him to court. Attitudes of colleagues and clients. Look, generally with my colleagues, I've never had any major issues other than, having to put people in their place. Clients, older ones, have sometimes been an issue, but you can generally work your way around them. It's actually quite nice for the sexist because at least they'll open a door. Now, one of the funny things that was quite difficult in the early days was back in the 90s, people still had meetings in strip clubs. Now, they wouldn't tell me that's where they were having a meeting. They'd just say, can you look after the construction site? And then I'd find out, yeah, they'd been there all day. Anyway, you just can't be one of the boys. It's just the way it is. You just deal with it. Okay, so what can I do from an engineering degree? Well, you can take postgrad. When I had my first 2 kids, because I've had 4, when I had the first 2, because I was made jobless when I was 6 months pregnant, I did a graduate diploma in education, in mathematics and science. And then now I'm doing a master's in planning up here at the uni. So you can do anything with it. And that's what I've done. I've got another friend, Lana, who got sick of working as a construction manager and not being able to get up that top rung. So she went off, she, of course did an MBA, everyone does one of those, and then she did herself a master's in law and bypassed that glass ceiling. Ended up being in charge of all the guys because she was their corporate lawyer in construction, dealing with all the what are those things, contracts and stuff like that. Another friend of mine, Louise, she started engineering after 2 years, couldn't get through the maths and changed over to commerce. And then she did her DipEd, her MBA, and then did a master's in engineering science. And she ended up going into a council and changing the corporate way they were looking at their environmental footprint and everything like that. Sadly, she passed away 6 years ago. But she was a brilliant person who, although she didn't finish her engineering degree, she kept on with the maths and went round another way to get her engineering to use it to better a society. So, my highlights. I've travelled through Europe at someone else's cost with 2 kids in the back of a car. Brilliant. Who wants to pay for anything? Not me. Let's get someone else to pay for it. I've got to do research and develop something which I found really interesting and dream at night about how things move and basically pump it uphill. I've been able to see my visions. I've been able to design things and I've been able to, you know, make things and then see them being produced into something real. And that's something that I really love as an engineer. I've built lots of houses in many different designs. I've built lots of roads, a lot of sewer systems, a few taxiways on airports, and I've got to see them all be made and drive on the taxiways without them failing. And mostly, I've now got to move back to the country and enjoy my cows and my sheep and things like that while still being an engineer. Not all professions allow you to live in the country, and that's one of the real big advantages of civil engineering. Now, what do I want to do? I want to make the world safe for you. I love you all so much. I do not want you to fall through the road. I don't want you to have contaminated water. I don't want you having sewage coming up in your backyard. So for that reason, I will keep working as an engineer. And, you know, and any of you who are thinking about those, like electrical engineering, they do amazing things too, like telephones and electricity and all that internet stuff that I don't understand. They do it all. And all the different types of engineers, they all have their amazing things which they do because of these people, these scientists, they come up with the information we need. So thank you, guys. And why would you consider it? You can work anywhere. Anywhere in the world, anywhere in the country, anywhere. You can have a varied choice in your work. You can work part-time, contract, full-time, any way you like. And you can make your career do whatever you want with it. Okay? And you've got flexibilities in your work choices. That's it.